Welcome to Sovereign Key with Evie Lorgan, who's my special guest and dearest friend and colleague.
So the topic is the counterfeit spirit, artificial intelligence, and the alien metal god. And so what I'd like to do is open up with my understanding of the counterfeit spirit was actually a term gotten from some of the tractates in the Nag Hammadi library, which is based on the ancient Gnostic teachings, which probably date around 400 AD, between 100 and 400 AD, that had to do with the secret teachings that were actually removed from the Bible. So the counterfeit spirit is really the essence of what we're going to discuss and how it actually manifests in our world and within artificial intelligence technologies, as well as what we're calling the alien metal god. And so I just wanted to bring out the basic definition based on the Apocryphon of John and the Gospel of Philip. And these terms that I actually got them from Lawrence Caruana's glossary of definitions that's on his website that have to do with a type of concordance of Gnostic terms. So the counterfeit spirit is something that is trying to copy or beget something that is an original archetype. So a copier, right? It makes pretty simple, a counterfeit. And it also seeks to destroy the purity of or consume. So it has actually two functions: to copy and to consume and harvest or corrupt the purity of the soul. And so these things are actually elaborated on in many different ways in not only the ancient Gnostic teachings, but other more contemporary esotericists like Rudolf Steiner, for example, as well as how we're observing this in our research and in our own personal experiences with people that we work with through anomalous trauma. So one of the things that we felt that was really important to bring out is how this counterfeit spirit is really coming out in full force today with the copycat syndrome and that what it did in the old days, and how this copycatting and counterfeiting causes a corruption, an infection, and a spin control or a perversion and an ultimate inversion of that which it's trying to copy. So a counterfeit spirit is kind of like what the Gnostics described as Yalta-Baoth, or the demiurge, or that which had not the original spiritual essence of the eternal incorruptible spirit, but was a copy or a counterfeit that could not create on its own and serve to only copy in order to actually to beget its own self and copy its program through those who were originals. And also its other function was to corrupt the purity of the soul and to eventually consume it or harvest it. So we're actually seeing this manifested in many different things today. And it's very prevalent in things that we're seeing in the truth movement. Let's say people who have original experiences, or even things like the secret space program, for example, where you may have many people who are having a type of experience related to a secret government project, MK Ultra, or what My Labs, or whatever it is, and then you're going to see a popular opinion of a narrative taking place that's based on how the counterfeit spirit is moving through certain people or groups to hijack the definition and terms so that people have a skewed or corrupted version of whatever the original really is. And this is happening big time in many, many different ways in the world, as well as, quote, the truth movement. And this has been happening even with our own work, which that's another reason why we wanted to bring this forth and actually how that has happened. And so to deviate from that a little bit, I also wanted to, go ahead, because.
Yeah, I just wanted to also say, with regards to this, is the preface of the information that we've been putting out for years has everything to do with the counterfeit. The work that Evie has done on the Love Bite and the Dark Side of Cupid, the work that I've done on the New Predator, the work that we've done with regards to just showing that this is a facsimile, a series of facsimiles that are related to the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros is what I've written about, which is something that has to essentially consume itself because it's cut off from the original source. Therefore, it has to go and it has to hunt for original source somewhere else. And as it finds its source, it literally creates the facsimile version, the counterfeit version of what it is accessing. And in this way, instead of consuming itself, because if it does this, it only has a finite amount of energy until it consumes itself completely. So this way it can get away from consuming itself, and it consumes the actual life source creator matter. And in this way, this infection has sought throughout the infiniverse places that it can do this. This is not the first place this has happened, but because this is the most diverse place, it is very interesting how the pathology of this Ouroboros is taking shape. And this is why it can be seen through the new predator and through healer predators and through a gamut of other types of predators that are masked and disguised through love, or the so-called addiction love, and all manner of human interaction and theft of person, because this is essentially theft of life. No, and then you have to add also that this quote real, this reality, REELITY, is largely based on backdrops.
And that's something,
a lot of hybridization, a lot of half-half, a lot of quarter halves, a lot of, a lot of themes to create a realistic feel to the simulation, so that it seduces the reals, so that it seduces the originals, the primes. And most of all the projects that are in operation, they, they seek out, they hunt the primes. This is what they are. They hunt the fire.
Oh, definitely.
They hunt.
And that was the whole, the whole strategy of the predator and the counterfeit spirit is to copy originals and consume, copy, consume, they copy, infect, right. And
a lot of the metagenes that are, well, they're in the reals, right? They're in the primes. And there is, within the primes, then there's the prime of the prime. There's the fire of the fire, right? Which are the mechas.
That's something that we need to go into more detail, or maybe define more clearly. For example, you mentioned the backdrops, and there may not be people who understand that term. And I think it's the contemporary term that we've used in some of our videos, like the hyperdimensional interference and the alien love bite one that we did with several colleagues, where we talked about the organic portals and the hosts who are hosting another type of non-human entity, which clairvoyant people can observe sometimes, or even very sensitive people can say that there's an overshadowing of an etheric body or an astral body that is a non-human form that may take different forms that we're calling like a portal for something else. Right. And then sometimes it's not so specific, but it's their behavior that is as if the Ahrimanic consciousness that Rudolf Steiner talked about is working through these people as a hive-minded type of character program, so that whoever the originals, that they're hunted down because they have the life force to keep it going, right? Because the other ones don't have the original spirit to keep it going, so they have to hunt down and handle all the originals in as many ways as possible through the different variations of what you're calling a backdrop. And so maybe we could pause for a while and talk about, well, what's a backdrop? In your experience of, even when you were a child, you had experiences long before this was even discussed, right? On any kind of public forum. Absolutely. Where your perception, because you came in with a full-on memory of prior to birth, coming in from outside the universe, and then coming into the inversion reality, and then seeing like, wait a minute, not everybody's like a real people thing. So I want you to talk more about what that was like for you and how you came across this whole backdrop term.
A lot of lineages also from the beginning, as I said, because this has been an experimentation that they've been attacking the reals. So their original blueprint has become watered down as well. So there is a distinction between the watered down reals and the backdrops, the replicants, the synthetics, the clones. There are differences between them all. And we have to see and understand that there are many projects involved here with regards to creating a world that will seduce your prime targets, to make it what it needs to be so that you can convince them, therefore they will do what you need them to do so that you can keep on living. You're essentially, you've become then a part of the wheel, part of the technology of this machine, of the metal god. And you are servicing the metal god. You're servicing, the Leviathans. You're servicing all of the lower astral heavens that are all a part of the inverted version, the antiverse versions of actual creation in the mirror system. So it is, really loaded. A lot of the primes that they seek, a lot of the mechas, it's the golden fire.
So the mecha is a term that
fire.
The golden fire of, let's say, a high-powered original,
yes,
that has to remain hidden because it has full power of its original essence, which is something that I actually hadn't heard of before until we spoke privately about how these, let's say, high-level yogis who are hidden out in the mountains someplace, who are fully realized beings, more or less, and they have to hide out because they do not want to be hunted down, because basically many of us who've been in, let's say, born in these projects, alien abduction or MILAB or secret space program, we were in from the womb. And we were genetically modified or augmented, or there was something about us that was targeted from the beginning. There was not a recruitment process, so many, I think, who have abilities, they're hunted down. They're able to trace these people, except for the lucky ones who can escape because maybe they are spiritually wise enough to bypass being observed. And and that's the Mecca.
Yeah, and those are the mechas. And for the few, and the mecha is a gold. It's the golden fire. Okay, it's different from the star fire. It is,
okay.
This is why there is a prime and there is a mecha. They want the mecha. The mecha has everything as the star fire, as the fire blood. Right. This is all related. These are all originals. They utilize, the arcs are utilized, and they are a part of this as well, because the arcs are also fire, and they are also fire. So
the arc as in archangel?
As in, well, I mean, our terminology is really poor, but you could say like the seraphs, the arcs, the fire, the fire winged.
Seraphim, for example.
This is all fire blood.
Okay.
This is all golden fire blood beings that at times when they've come in, they still come in with a lot of their abilities. So for the few who, I mean, the consciousness is there from the beginning, so it isn't, oftentimes you don't have to be here to get your memory back. You come in here because you're still on mission. This is a part of your job.
Right.
So there is no little reprieve to enter in this inverted reality for anything other than the mission. But these are who are hunted. Most of the projects from that. Okay. So this is why they have had to simulate what is natural, what is from the natural or original blueprint. They've had to simulate that with technology, and through technology and AI, and through the technology of the metal god, because it has to do it that way. It doesn't have the original spirit of fire.
Wow. So the alien metal god, would you say that that would be like, not Lucifer, but it's more like the black goo consciousness of the Ahrimanic consciousness? Because the Ahrimanic consciousness was actually distinct from Lucifer in the Rudolf Steiner writings,
Mm.
where the Ahriman was more of an oppositional and very contracting and technocratic, extremely mental intelligence evil that actually, I think it plays itself out pretty well in the technocratic, cold, mean intelligence with this contracting, controlling nature of infecting and controlling everything according to a copycat program to only replicate itself
Yeah.
through people and through stealing and through theft of spirit.
Look, it can replicate a body so that you can have identical twins. If a body can replicate itself to have identical twins, this is a technology that is simulated off of our original technology that we are. So it is going to have that capacity to do that. This is what is so dangerous about it, because it is actually doing this, mapping people's brain, people's consciousness, and it's utilizing that to actually create its own universes. Like it's
Oh, wow.
creating its own lower.
Oh, yeah. So
So
this is kind of like, it reminds me of the topic that some people have brought up years ago. And I don't know, maybe it's like other realities are actually literally created from the life force and the, quote, consumed consciousness of original beings, where they actually can create another reality and then turn around and upload people to these false realities that created from the life force
right,
of others that have been consumed and harvested.
right,
And this is something that I think we've noticed way back in the early era of our alien abduction and MyLab support group discussions and the early research, where we came to find that we would have these stage managed dreams and virtual reality scenarios where our consciousness was literally uploaded into another reality and then sent on like training missions and training scenarios. But it was as if we were literally uploaded and then interacting in this lucid consciousness with others who are also operational like avatars in this uploaded reality. And I'm thinking that there is an upload going on, or there is one of the reasons for, and this is something Dr. Shmuel Asher has talked about in his personal experiences, and I wrote a blog post about where he had a dream where it was like one of these repetitive dreams that you keep getting uploaded to the same reality, and you realize, this is a technology, and this is they're trying to get information on how you think, how you operate, what you like, to get tacit consent to stay there. But a lot of the technology generated through AI, quantum learning, Google, from some of these monopolies may not just be for what national security or businesses, but it's for a much more nefarious reason that may have to do with acquiring information to mimic another realities for the perfect upload and entrapment of consciousness on another inverted layer of an uploaded reality.
right. Because
So that's like huge.
this is
It's
an
just,
upload reality that we're in right now. So we're having interface. This is the reason also why something like I don't, people call it 5G. It's really like, it's just the God G. It's just the G God technology, the metal God technology, because
yeah,
it's based on an interface in a simulation, which is also a counterfeit of another one.
yeah, counterfeit of a counterfeit.
So
Talking
it's
about,
a counterfeit of a counterfeit.
yeah,
And what you have, essentially, if you collect enough consciousness, because it is a consumer of consciousness,
a consumer and collector.
and a collector.
Yeah,
So it modifies itself as it consumes and as it collects. It
yeah,
actually absorbs everything everything that you are, simulates it. It is acquiring organic matter as it
yeah.
has been. So you then have a labyrinth system of these, quote, realities that you can be uploaded into. And that's why you can't tell the difference. You cannot tell the difference between what is, quote, real anymore. And I'm not sure you really ever could in this inverted reality, because it is an
Well, not
inversion,
in the
and the
consciousness
inversion
of,
is not
yeah,
the real one, right?
right. And the
So,
real one, I mean, yeah, I mean, this gets into a big subject matter of not only discernment, but original, let's say, memory and realization of our original being, which is much more expansive. And most people really don't get there in this life unless they're yogis who've been meditating and doing these things for years, or you have a near-death experience where you're on this completely expansive realization, knowing that this is a dream that you're actually uploaded into on a minuscule amount of consciousness compared to what we are.
Yeah. I
But I
mean,
think we have other forms that it could be that, like you've mentioned this before, where we're like laying in this pod somewhere in another reality. And it's like in that Avatar movie where our real form may be something else, and then we're uploaded in another reality, digital reality or whatever, and these other bodies, and these are really avatar forms. And there may be layers and layers and layers of this, where ultimately we maybe not even have a form, but nothing but pure aware consciousness that is everywhere, all at once, everywhere.
well, I can say that when I was young, I remember waking up and being and having woken up in other simulations, and I realized that simulations being done, but I couldn't tell the difference between that and this.
Wow.
The difference between them were completely, I mean, they were the same. And I
Wow.
had to figure out a way to know which one was what.
Wow.
And that is how real these uploaded simulations are, because these are inverted realities that are connected to these lower astral heavens,
Wow.
and they're
Yeah.
like the opposite of the heavens. So you've got, to begin with, you have your own psyche, your own original blueprint that has been split at the time that you yourself became aware of you in creation.
Wow.
When that happened, that duality within us occurred and split up. When that duality happened in that moment in time, we created our own inverted reality as well as our so we created we were our heaven, and we were our lower
Wow.
realms, our inverted version. So this is where you have, as above so below, the macro to the macro. It's literally a mirror system of the macro to the micro. We ourselves are experiencing our own split in that
Wow.
inversion.
So when you were
Mirror system.
younger, you found yourself in like an experimental, I don't know if this was like a
Yes.
MyLabby thing or if it was actually above and beyond a MyLabby thing, because I've had something similar, but nothing like what you've had, where it was almost as if it's on another spiritual dimensional reality where they're actually trying to access and read the original code of your other form,
Yes.
which exists in another, let's say, higher reality, and then we're in this downloaded avatar body,
Right.
which is not even our real form or real consciousness. And every now and then you can have an awareness of this other consciousness, and how these interlopers are literally trying to read what you are, and they're, in my experience, they were frustrated because they couldn't read and find what they wanted to find, and there was an anomaly in why what they were doing wasn't working, or wasn't working according to how they thought, and they were frustrated. But
because they can't have God code. So this is the thing. That's what they want more than anything. Okay, so
yeah,
they can't access it. They can only counterfeit. They can only try and copy it, but they can't
and they
actually
do
access
copy.
it and own it. It's a whole different thing to copy and access.
Yeah,
Something for them to copy than being able to actually have the
real.
the real.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that they've been after from the very, very, very,
From the beginning. And this is a beginning thing that has been going on that I think the ancient Gnostics knew. They talked about the three races, like the Hylic race was like the clay race, which was more of the pure counterfeit spirit. Maybe we would call that the serpent seed, the ones who never really had the pure pneuma.
Right.
And then there was the pneuma, who was more of the pure incorruptible ones in the races that weren't as infected. And then there was the mixture.
Right.
And they basically there was three basic types, but most of us are a mixture. But there are those who are still like the clay people, and I think like the Hylic race or the clay people are those that are actually total vampires, and they are total. The signature of them would be the counterfeit spirit, but it would also be like how we understand contemporary psychopathology and narcissistic personality disorder and the new predator. But they're getting, it's as if, you know, that they're getting better and better because of the AI quantum learning and this alien metal god, and how it's advanced itself in such a way to make better and better counterfeits based on more and more information and copying and consumption of these consciousnesses, so that they become better and better at what they do.
It's what they do.
Yeah.
That's why that's why, you know, when I wrote about the new predator, I was saying that this is evolution and experimentation and evolution. They've been actually creating and literally making the best version of it. So with every generation, they were able to actually be much more sophisticated in the pathology and how convincing the pathology and how the pathology interacts with everything else, because it's a very schizophrenic pathology.
Totally. I mean, yeah, total psychopathology,
right?
Which many of us have noticed in this whole hyperdimensional attack and the gang stalking phenomena. And even what I wanted to bring up too was my observation of course, we've worked with targeted individuals for years, and people who are in projects and people who are originals, Starfire or whatever, that they have a tendency to be constantly handled or surrounded by individuals that are either taken over, or they're the hive-minded, you know, serpent seed, whatever you want to call it. They're always being targeted, right, and gaslighted, and different psychopathic personality, interpersonal relations, and even in their families, where they're constantly try to keep predating upon them and handling them to keep them and their power under their control.
The inversions can happen as soon as we split from ourselves. Okay, we don't require the demiurge. We don't require, well, the archons and the demiurge are the same thing, but we don't require those entities to do that. As soon as we split within ourselves, like the cells splitting, we became both the heaven and the hell.
So basically, there's like a multiple functioning going on.
Right, because this is a part of this is how we explore ourselves as well, okay? We can't just stay, as soon as we became thought made manifest, at that moment, you cannot just stay, let's say, for example, for lack of a better way of putting it, you can't just stay in the position of good without the bad, because then you don't know yourself.
You don't learn it.
You can't learn and become what you are. You have to almost experience the magnitude of what it is to be creation. Creation itself, as soon as it splits off from itself, creates two mirror system realities.
Like the black and white squares, so to speak.
One that is not inverted and one that's inverted. So the verse is not the inverse. So you have the verse, which is the uncorrupted, the state that is outside of the shadow of the self and the shadow aspects of creation. And then you have the inverse, which is attached to death, and the antiverse. And this is why things can attach themselves to that psyche and that logos. Everything that is of the nature of the antiverse can attach itself to that logos and manifest and begin using your co-creative ability to manifest its nature. It's up to us to get out of the inverse, because we no longer require it. And, for those that do require it, what's happening in the convergence of the event horizon will take care of everything for all time. So, we're coming to the end game of it all. We're coming to the finite point of what that is in power, manifestation, and creation, because the inversion or the antiverse is actually affecting the uninverted realms, the verse,
Yeah,
infinity verse.
that's bad. Yeah, well, that's definite infection going on. That
So this
shouldn't
is why
happen. That's actually unnatural.
this is why
But it's almost as if part of what you were saying would be like the all that is decided upon a thought to reflect upon itself, to become conscious of itself, and split itself off in order to reflect upon itself in its different aspects, so that it is like creation of light and dark and self and other and different manifestations, that they're all reflections upon the one,
right,
more or less.
totally,
And that
absolutely.
we have an aspect of our being that is actually, I think, many of us have come to those realizations in some experiences, but usually not sustained, that we actually are co-creative with another much larger being that is of the all, that is dreaming this, but at the same time can't
There's many
seem to get
logos.
out of this limited consciousness. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
many.
and
Yeah, there's many.
yeah.
So there's many tiers, right? And each of them have like a specific part in co-creating the experience that we're all having. However, we're coming full circle. And this is what remembering is all about. Your memory, your membranes, membranes, right? We're coming full circle because all of this exploration into ourselves, in both the uninverted and the verted, so the verse to the antiverse, it is coming to its own recognition of self, knowing and understanding that these lower realms of death, essentially, cannot create life, nor can they sustain it. And this is why the premise of this inverted reality is always death. And this is why we, as we were talking the other night, remember we were talking the other night about the law, the birth, which is actually a law of death.
Yes, yes.
Being birthed at a dock, and we're in the maritime law.
Yeah.
It is all death, it's all carbon. And you're written down on carbon paper because you're already dead. Because this is a dead realm. So they're acknowledging fiction because there's nothing real.
Well, that's, yeah. I mean,
this is what
the whole thing about realness and the depth of realness is a signal and a sign of when you're getting into contact with more of your true essence, in my view, that it, based on my own realization experiences, the depth of reality was so great that nothing could compare to that deep knowing that is a witness unto itself, that is that we are a dreaming, and that the more real we get in our feeling of being and awareness, the more we're coming to connection with that part of our being. And I think that cutting off from our feeling and our realness is that which is separating. And so we really do need to feel deeply, even though not to the point of let's say, triggered rage or an unnatural intensification of emotion, but it's more like the realness of who we are, and knowing the real versus the not so real. And even love, like many people don't know what love is, and love is one of those things where you know it when it's there. You just know it when it's there. It makes itself known. It is a witness unto itself. But if you don't know it, and this is the problem, I'd see many people don't have this recognition. They've never had love in their lives. They've only known, dysfunctional families or, crappy abuse. And so they don't have that internal compass that we need to spark that seed of consciousness and awareness in people so that they can come to that recognition and start building upon that real seed of awareness that is part of who they really are, as opposed to the overshadowed program and narrative that is basically operating people like a bunch of backdrops, characters in the Matrix. And a lot of people, they don't know the difference between the two, like how to feel even the difference between the two, and how to discern is somewhat of a mystery, because even in lucid dreaming practice, which I've done over the years, and which has helped me and others kind of discern people who've had alien abductions in my labs, to understand what it feels like when you're having a stage managed dream, or when someone is remote influencing you and they're invading your consciousness and they're invading your dreamscape, and they're trying to pull out information or make you believe something or try to extract information. And to know what that feels like when you're in communication with another mind that's actually trying to influence you, and or technology, and to know what that feels like. Because most people, they don't have a sense of discernment, so they don't know, they can't make those distinctions, and it's very frustrating because they can't hear the real, and so the real gets marginalized and minimized, and it is definitely not the majority opinion.
No, and what's happening more than ever now is that people's dreamscapes are being so horribly hacked.
Totally hacked.
So hacked that it's a whole nother level of hacking.
Yeah, it's better. They're getting better and better at it, I would say.
It's actually, it's getting so literally invasive that it's taking over, okay? It's taking over the person's natural navigation in dreamscape, in the astral. So they've managed to hack in on those levels even there.
Yes, and that's how they get tacit consent for a lot of things that we don't realize until later. That was a tacit consent of something like an agreement of entrapment that's happening on an astral level, even to the point of mimicking signing documents. I've had that happen.
Yes.
They're literally trying to get you to sign documents on an astral level to get your permission to use you in some capacity.
Yeah.
And it's utterly amazing that the level of extent of agreements of entrapment that I feel is against the law, should be against some kind of spiritual law. But it seems as if just us being here, we're under some kind of law that we, either through ignorance, we don't know how to come from out under it.
We're in the law of inversion. That's why navigating through a law of inversion in a dead realm, in a realm of death, where you are in actuality functioning as a dead person, okay, is why they can easily hack anybody. Because until we literally dismantle the way we live in society, and until we dismantle our language and take back and create it based on life, based on the uninverted version. And I'm talking about, we would have to literally, the more that we integrate these things and become the living embodiment of what life is, the more these technologies and the metal god and the Leviathan and the demiurge and all of these lower astral realm dominions will not have power over us. But we have to be the living embodiment of this. So we have to create literally a reality where we're not killing animals, where we're not killing anything, where we're not going to a grocery store buying dead products, you know, and feeding death, and then feeding the cycle of death, where we're not speaking the dead language, where we're cognizant of every single thing that we're doing and producing, and we are bringing life in and not death, and not being a product of death. You can't be a product of death and then wonder why you're being hacked, you know? But the hacking that is happening now, which is more pervasive than it's ever been and much more deadly, is actually keeping people awake, okay? So it's keeping people awake in a non-sleep way, so that it's exhausting people on so many levels that more and more people are unable to function, okay?
Yes. Well, we know that with abductions, where, you know, it's like you've been up all night in the clone body or whatever they upload, and, you know, doing ops or whatever, and so you don't get sleep even though your body is apparently asleep.
Right.
And then you wake up exhausted, you know?
So this form of hacking that's happening is actually keeping people in a state of not sleeping, non-regenerative.
Non-regenerative sleep.
And also, they're putting them in labyrinths and hell realms, like hell realities.
Yeah, I mean, we've both experienced that actually on the same night in two different locations, which was really interesting.
Let's first map out the virtual universe. I'm going to be moving this around. Sorry, it just is what it is. So, light, dark. This is the virtual universe. For some reason, that is the term, virtual universe. duality. Okay. So this is all AI, an AI universe. Okay. And so I'm only going to draw one small part of this whole universe. Okay. So you're out here outside of this whole thing. You're a spark. Okay. I probably should have drawn a 5-pointed. Let's put some more things in there. You're a spark of consciousness of the creator. You were pulled in here. Okay. Now I'm not drawing this exactly how it looks. Okay. So you were pulled in, and because you were entering a fake universe, you're coming from the real to the fake, you had to have some kind of container to keep you in the fake. And these containers are called souls. Okay, so these are souls. I don't exactly, these are in different places. So they're on planets, which might be in ships, you know, planets. They're in different places, and these souls all run everything. Okay. These souls are all hypnotized. All right. Now, they are all, the consciousness is coming into here. It's projecting out from all these souls. Okay. Into the mind. So this makes sense to me now, because when they said the mind is not real, I was like, what does that mean? Well, it's a mind where all the souls are being hypnotized to see this. It's all a collective mind of all the souls. The sparks, but I'm going to call them souls for simplicity here. So this is where we get this nonsense, this phrase, we are one. Okay, it's not true, we're not one. But they want us to be one. They want us to stay in this one mind. This is also source, or the central server, or whatever you would call it. So, remember in the movie The Matrix, where did Neo go? He went back to the source. Now, if you remember when hopefully you saw the movie, when he was talking to the dude, the gray-haired dude with the beard, and behind Neo was all those screens of himself talking. Those are all different versions of him, which we'll get into a little bit more here. But it's like, it's this whole thing. Okay, so let's go a little further. So all these consciousnesses pulled together into one, because they're focusing us here. Because you're in linear time, so only one thing can happen at a time. So you have to have focus. You can't be everywhere at once like you were here. Okay, so this, all together, we're creating this matrix that we're in, okay? I'm just drawing circles. This doesn't mean that it's necessarily what this looks like. This is just helping you understand the process. Let me make this big screen. So stay with me here. Sorry, I just keep moving. I can't help it. Okay, so this here, this projection from here to here is called a timeline. So we're on this timeline. Timeline. What does that mean? Time. Well, we got different timelines available to us. Yeah, time exists in a false universe, a matrix type universe. It's sequential, it's linear. There's 12 hours, on a clock. It's timeline. So we're still in the matrix with a timeline. All right. So this mind has created this matrix world where we are now. And I believe this was created possibly by one of these two, okay, originally. And then these people, they stole it. But when it was created, it was programmed with choice to give us the illusion of free will. Why? Well, probably for several reasons. One being, if you give people a choice, they're more likely to stay somewhere. If they have no choice, they don't want to stay. Also, it makes it pretty interesting. You give people, let's give them some choices. It's kind of boring just to watch robots, so let's give them choices. Okay. So these people are currently in control now. And they are in a hurry to dismantle this. So what I saw was they have injected a virus into this to dismantle it. Now, I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about they're erasing the history here. They're putting chemtrails. They're poisoning the food. We're in a consumption world. They're poisoning what we're consuming, everything to dismantle this because, and they're in a hurry to do this. So they said they will lose. They are willing to lose to win. So they will lose to win. They will lose this in order to win. So they're trying to destruct this. This is the reset. Okay. So what I think they're doing is they've created this new earth here. So this is going to be switching our perception on this timeline to this one. In this one, you will have no choice anymore. You will no longer think for yourselves. So what this means to me is if they upload us into this world, that's kind of like us getting uploaded into AI, where we're not in this anymore, where we had choice. So the usurpers here, I think, have also created a timeline. So this is the usurper new earth. And then I think also over here, well, let's draw it up here for room. We have the awakened souls, which is us, creating their version of a new earth. So these are all timelines. Timeline. That's what, and none of these have been set yet. We're almost moving into this one. But there's a battle. They're fighting for this one and this one. It's like a battle. And then if we all join together, we could create this one. But this hasn't been determined where we're getting moved from this to. We're getting shifted to something. So So these ones in red, these are all timelines. I don't know if it helps you see it better, but which of these are we getting shifted into? Okay. So they are going to eliminate choice, and they're willing to lose this world they won because they gave us choice and we're waking up. And guess what you can do with choice? When you're awake here, which we already are, you can choose instead of going to here, because see, they're trying to merge these two. So instead of going from here to here, so our mind projecting over here shifts to here instead. So we could actually just shift and not even realize it. Instead of that, we can say, no, I choose to go, because here's where I am. Okay, I'm this soul, let's say. Anmarie's this soul. Here I am in this timeline, this projection of the mind. I can choose, no, I'm going here. Because where are they telling you to go? Go back to source, go back to source. We're all one. So they're wanting to dismantle this, take us all back here, and then we're here. Okay. But I woke up, I woke up and I've said, no, I can go. I've already chosen to go here because I still have choice. We're still in this version of reality where we still have choice. That's why I'm saying hurry up. The clock is ticking. So this whole clock is ticking. So they're trying to dismantle this. They're in a hurry. So they're destroying it. They're going all out. They're willing to lose. They know they're going to lose, but they're going to take this out with them. So hopefully the usurpers are creating something, or that we are. I don't know. I'm trying to get people together to create our own version, because while we're still here, we can go into one of these other realities. So these usurpers, or these old, maybe it was the old ones, created this world with choice. And I think their new world is going to have choice in it as well. This one will not. This is where we get uploaded into AI. This is the Freemasons wanting this one. So I think that they create choice because they were the ones that I said that want to rule by power and might, and these want to rule by black magic and trickery. So these are kind of the wimpy, and let's put you in AI mind with no choice. So we just become essentially completely tied into this, and no choice to get out. These people are giving us choice because I think it's more entertaining for them. I think because they want to follow some kind, I think there's some kind of universal law on this where they're not allowed to do that. So they're kind of following the law by doing this and by giving us choice. Not only that, it's a more entertaining game. Who wants to watch just a bunch of robots? Wouldn't it be more fun if we gave them a choice and then we get to watch all the drama and watch that person fight that person or this person? You know, then it gets, the television show is much more entertaining if the characters can make choices. They don't just follow, if every single show followed the same old script, it'd be like, oh, this is boring. That's what they want here, these Freemasons. So, so they're free to create a world is what they think. Let's see here. What else have I left out? There was more to this. Okay. So this is just one matrix. Inside of this whole virtual universe, we're showing one part of it. We're showing one matrix. But there's many matrices or matrices. And these souls, I think, run more than one. Okay. So the idea is to, so I said, you know, what if I go here? And they told me, no, we need you. But they said certain words to me like, you know, you're trapped. And it's like, oh, wait, trapped. So we were forced here. You know, there's a lot of things that I got that was like, oh, confirming things. Also, these people think that we owe them. We owe them a debt. And I said, no, there's no payment. There's no debt. We don't owe you anything. You forced us in here. You tricked us. You pulled us in. We don't owe you anything. We were deceived. Whoever it was that originally brought us in, I don't know, because I think they change roles all the time of who's in charge. That's the battle that goes on. But they said they need us here to run this. So they're going to do everything they can to keep us from making this choice, which is what we on this channel, many of us that have been watching this, have made. Because once you choose to go here instead of here, where they want you to go, right? Once you choose to go here, guess where you're going? Bye-bye. In the meantime, wouldn't you like one of these realities instead of this one? Like one that we decide on, where we are awake enough, us over here are awake enough that we get the soul awake enough that it creates this one. It's like, it's telling us, no, we're creating this. And we're like, no, we're creating this. We redirect. The soul has the creative energy. It's hypnotized and being told what to create. Gets over here to us, but we say, no, we're redirecting the creation to this vision that we're all holding together. So maybe there's 10 of us here that are trying to hold this, but we need the majority of souls being directed here. And I don't know if we have that yet. We need a unified vision. But I would rather go to one of these, either one of these, anything other than this one that these people are creating. And these are these old pharaohs, the old Egyptian bloodline BS. Okay, so they've been around forever. All right, they think we owe them. It's not true. We don't owe a single thing. I was out here having fun, and you trapped my consciousness and pulled it in here. Tricked and deceived and trapped. So none of that's true. We don't owe them anything. This karma thing is all choice. They need us. We do not need them. So what they told me was that we are already ascended, that it's too late. Meaning, remember I said 5G is 5D? So I think this is this whole fifth dimension. When they implemented 5D, the frequencies changed, and they're already pulling us into here. But the ones that already woke up and are wanting to go back here, or at least seeing halfway clearly, they're going to have some trouble pulling us in here. It's too late. We're already awoke. So you have an artificial ascension, which is into here, or you have the real ascension. I've talked about this before, the real ascension, which is this. Go back to your soul out. So what they're doing here, this is the 12th hour. We're on their clock, remember? And there's 12 hours on the clock. This is the 12th hour. So we still have choice, but we're in the 12th hour, and this is ticking. So if you haven't woken up yet here to make this choice, you need to do it. So they are erasing the history of this world with the virus deconstruct thing, because they've already got the new earth waiting on us here. Now, as far as past lives, remember I said here that we have like all of these dimensions too, 5th dimension, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and they cycle us through these and then back into 3D and then back through over and over. And when you cycle into these dimensions, it's like a happier version of things, so you're less likely to leave. And then, you know, when you start to wake up, oh, they cycle us into these, and then we call them back down. And then we come back in to the 3D, and we go to the other side, and this reincarnation cycle, mind wipe, mind wipe, mind wipe. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm waking up. Oh, put them into 5D. And this goes on and on and on. And this is their way of doing stuff, because they know if you make people, especially these, I think they gave us a happier world. The happier you make these people, and the more choices you give them, the more willing they are to stay and keep our whole world powered and going, and give us an identity, give us make us real. You know, a robot, let's think of it in real simplistic terms, or a computer isn't real until you plug it in. Otherwise, it's just a piece of plastic or whatever. It's useless. So they don't exist without us. So, God, there was something else I was going to say to that. They're really trying to interfere with me, but I'm spitting this out anyway. So the happier you make people, the less likely they are to want to make this decision. But because you keep them distracted. Even though they wake up a little bit, you keep them distracted, throw them through the dimensions. But if they move us into this, these people move us into this, because this is this, all right? These people move us into this one, then they can make this a little bit better than this one was. Oh, free energy, this, that, and then we're more likely to stay. However, we've already awakened, so it doesn't matter where the hell they move us, we're leaving. If they're moving us into this one, I don't think we're going to be in alignment with it. But I do feel like they had chips or other methods to make this transition and timeline happen. So this perception, suddenly we're perceiving down here now, and we've been chipped. And now our choice is gone. So when the clock runs out and it strikes midnight or 12, the time has run out, and now we're that. But I don't think that that's true. The impression I got was it's too late. We already woke up when we had a choice, and we made this choice. So now past lives, I think, they cycle us through different matrices. So this is our particular matrix that we're in. So here I am, Anmarie, or I'm a soul. This is my soul. Let's say my soul is named Badass. So Badass down here is currently in this timeline as Anmarie. But Badass may have been in another matrix somewhere else in this virtual universe, which I'm not showing the whole virtual universe. So I might be in another matrix. And I think they cycle us through the matrices, because you can only have one attention at a time. So the souls are focused here on this matrix. So I feel like this might be a soul group. But then my soul might also be running, I feel like it's running other matrices as well. So sometimes my attention is focused over there, sometimes it's here. And I think they cycle us through these matrices like they cycle us through those dimensions, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, blah, blah, blah. And so this is like the past life stuff. It's either other matrices or timelines. But anyway, this whole entire thing is just like a whole clock. So hopefully this has made some sense to you. I'm interested in your thoughts. I know I probably forgot some things. I'm looking back at my notes here. I probably should have just drew this as soon as I woke up, but this is what I saw. These people that have won this, the New World Order, are dismantling this. They're willing to lose to win, because they're going to eliminate choice. We're going to become robots, true robots. These people are trying to win it. I think these are the ones behind Trump. These are the other ones that fight this one. And they take turns with this. So we just keep getting recycled, all different kinds in this game, different timelines. So you might have to watch this a couple times for it to make sense, but hopefully that does make sense. Sorry about the wiggling notepad, but I wanted to get that out there. I think that about sums up what we need to know.